So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iOS 14 versus One UI 3. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the differences, see how far Samsung has come in their latest edition before the S21, and how far Apple has come, 14.3, One UI 3. This is based on Android 11 here for the right on Samsung, and of course, Apple controls it all the way around, so iOS on the left. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at in both of these softwares is the settings menu, because Apple has been, keeping the same setting menus for years, but Samsung is trying to clean up the software here in terms of the overall look. They're adding more rounded themes to this software, so you can see over here where it does show kind of like the little icon, you'll see more of a rounded look there, whereas Apple kind of had that squarish round look already here for iOS. Now, one thing I do have to say about the Apple device here on the left, I don't think it looks as clean when you start getting towards the bottom, because Apple likes to throw all these apps in one section. I wish they would put these in just, its own little section that says apps, kind of like Samsung does here, where it does say apps, because Samsung's list is not quite as long. But once you start digging into both of these, they do get a little bit complex. If it's a new user, you're going to have to learn the software and all the settings on both, because they're in different places and they're quite extensive actually. Next one I want to talk about is Control Center versus the Quick Panel layout. So Samsung is going with more of a translucent look here for One UI. You can see it over here, and what I really like is how they brought down these quick toggles, because it's easy to reach with one hand, even when you're using a bigger phone like a Note, because they brought this down. That's very ergonomic for the hand. Now over here, the Apple device comes all the way to the top. However, you'll see that there's a lot of options right from the quick panel settings itself. So you can go right here, you can do quick panel layout. You can go ahead and tweak the status bar, edit the buttons, stuff like that. You can also just add right here something else. Whereas with the Apple device, for some reason, you still have to go over here. You still have to go to Control Center. And while it's not really a big deal, it's just there's still these two-step process to certain actions on iOS that just don't exist here on the Samsung device, especially here in Quick Panel. So you can see, there we go. So that's a major difference I wanted to point out between both of them. But I do think Samsung's kind of taking that translucent look from iOS and applying it in their own way here with a little bit of a white background. And then if it goes to dark mode, let's go to dark mode here, it'll still be translucent, but it'll have more of this effect over here. Whereas with the iOS device, it kind of always looks the same way. Just depending on the wallpaper, it might change and tweak just a little bit. But I do think it looks more clean for the Samsung device. I'm not going to lie there on that one. So navigation differences. So you kind of just swipe left to right on both platforms. However, the Samsung device feels smoother just because it has the 120 Hz display. But you can still do it on both devices very easily like that. We know that by now. Of course, you can scroll down from anywhere. One scroll down here will just bring the quick settings, but if you do two fingers, it'll bring the whole entire thing down. So two fingers will bring the whole thing down here for Samsung. One will just kind of show the notification and some quick toggles up there. Now for iOS, go on the left, you can pull down the notifications tray. Over here, you'll pull down Control Center. From the bottom, you will bring up your recent apps. On Samsung, you will bring up your recent apps from the bottom as well. Notice that the Samsung does have a close all button though, something you don't see on iOS. You have to go through them individually, or you can swipe up to 3 at a time if you can get your fingers correct on there. So let's go ahead and try this. So you can see you can swipe up to 3 at a time on iOS, but at the same time, very similar in this respect. However, you have to decide which one you think looks cleaner when it comes to that navigation. Now here is a stark difference between both. Now if you go in the navigation bar for the Samsung device, you'll see swipe gestures, or you can use buttons. In addition, you can turn off gesture hints and hide that gesture bar at the bottom. So many different ways depending on how you like to navigate. Samsung has got your back. Over here for Apple, you are going to navigate it the way they tell you to, which is to learn and to use the gesture. However, it becomes second nature. It's only one setting. You habitually will get used to the gesture and how to use this, and then it'll be like second nature. You won't even think about it. So it's down to simplicity versus features. What do you want to, how do you want to navigate it? Here you go. That's what Samsung's telling you there. And another thing I want to point out with the Samsung device is in One UI 3, you can now double tap to lock that screen. and you could double tap to unlock it. And what you'll notice here on the lock screens is that the clock is new. It's kind of like similar actually to the iOS, but it's just smaller and it's kind of like down a little bit more. But if you tap this clock, you'll see these widgets on the lock screen. You don't see these on iOS. If you tap the clock, it doesn't do anything, but you will get similar amount of notification bubbles. Though it looks similar on iOS if you start getting a bunch of notifications. But you can see right there, that's kind of new there for the Samsung device. Let's go ahead and back out of there. And then you could see that the phone is over here versus a flashlight on the Apple device. And over here, camera and camera here for the iOS device. Now, another thing is the rounded theme. You can see right here, One UI 3 is trying to be more consistent. So you can see it does have the rounded theme here as what it does with the settings. But again, I think this looks pretty similar to iOS if you ask me. That's just my personal opinion there. But you can see they also changed the fingerprint icon for One UI 3 to look a little bit bigger, easier to reach and stuff like that. Now, another major difference here you'll notice is the app library versus the app drawer. Now, the app drawer can be alphabetical. It also will add things up in customized format if you want. You can clean up the pages to put it back in that alphabetical order, but within the app drawer, you can also add folders within it. So this is actually more customizable than the app library. The app library puts things in kind of an algorithmic form where it kind of just categorizes things based on how Apple thinks you'll want those apps. So utilities will be here. And I think it is clean. I think it cleans up a lot of the work it takes to get your app drawer the way you want. So right out of the box, the Apple phone, I think, is cleaner with the app library. However, the app drawer is out of the way, and then you could customize your home screen like so, whereas this is kind of always on your home screen. If you swipe all the way through, you're going to get there, where you'll never get to the app drawer unless you swipe up. So it's kind of out of the way a little bit more. But again, with having the ability to sort this in your own custom mode gives you more customization, more control over how you want your apps to look. In addition, on the home screen here, you can go ahead and punch into hide pages for iOS, but over here for Samsung, you can add multiple pages, or you can just get rid of that page altogether. This one actually doesn't get rid of it. It just kind of hides it out of the way, but you can send new apps to the app library so they're not cluttering up your home screen on iOS 14. That is nice. But I don't like this thing on Samsung where you swipe over. What is this, Samsung? This free? No, this is so distracting and so not cool. I just don't like this. If you like this, let me know down below, but I am not a fan of this. This is distracting. It's not clean. If we swipe over to the left here, you can see you can add widgets. You can set it up how you want. So to the left, I was just saying how Samsung's giving you more customization in your app drawer, but when it comes to your leftmost screen, Apple is giving you more customization. They're letting you set it up how you want. Now, quickly going through these screens, on iOS, you can just hold down on these dots down here and swipe through very fast. I kind of like that. That's really cool. Over here for Samsung, you can do it, but you have to hold down first, and then you could tap on these. Over on the Samsung, you could do the same thing, but you got to tap on the individual dots. Now, maybe this is a little too fast for you. If you just want to tap on the individual dots, you can do it here for Apple as well. So Apple's got Samsung on that one. We're not able to quickly just swipe through those. You got to tap on each one individually. Now, back talking a little bit about the home screens, you do have the ability to have a home screen only on Samsung. And I like this because it's kind of like how iOS used to be, where it didn't have an app drawer. It was just pages of apps. So Samsung's kind of got the old school iOS here, where it's just pages of apps. And if you want a more clean look, I was just complaining a little bit about that Samsung free section right here. You can have that super clean look. I typically leave it on home and app screens because Android has always been app drawer. It's kind of second nature for me to just use the app drawer on an Android phone. So I do leave it that way, but I just want to mention how much more customization you do have with the home screen. Like you could change your grid sizes, stuff like that of the apps. You can kind of make those app icons smaller. You could fit more on the screen than iOS. So even though iOS is giving you a lot added here with 14, it's not really giving you more customization than Samsung gives you. Okay guys, so the next one is the long press action. So if I long press here on Instagram, for example, you'll see that the One UI has cleaned up definitely. The way this kind of looks is bubble, more rounded, just more consistent with the overall Samsung experience. So that's a nice new look. And again, I want to talk a little bit about customization because you can do a lot with widgets here now with the iOS experience. So you can see we can do widgets right there. However, over here, we do have a ton from the start. You do have a ton of widgets on the iOS experience from the start as well. So if we go over here and add widgets, you'll get a ton of widgets here that come straight from Apple. And then you can see you can add more. You'll get a ton here. You'll have to decide which ones you think look better. Some people think the iOS experience looks better. Some people think that the Samsung experience looks better. But again, within the App Store and the Play Store, you'll find quite a few widget options, but you're going to find way more from Samsung. And reason being is Samsung is using Google's platform, and people have been making widgets for Android devices forever. And I think that because of the introduction of iOS 14, you might even see newer widgets start to pop up on Android as well, as it's kind of popularizing widgets again here on iOS. Now, both iOS and the Samsung device do have one-handed modes. You can bring it down like so here for the Samsung device, and you can bring it down like so for the Apple device. But with the Samsung device, it's more of a true one-handed mode. If you hit Instagram, it just pops right back to the full screen. Over here, it's literally a one-handed mode. Like, it will stay in the one-handed small phone mode over here. You can also make this bigger or smaller depending on where you want it. So again, with the customization, with the just extra features, Samsung's still winning out here in this respect. Now, Apple does have a picture-in-picture mode, but YouTube, if you go to YouTube, it doesn't just pop down into the picture-in-picture where it will on the Samsung device. Now, over here, you do have app pairs and split screen abilities. So some people say this is just not that important. I don't care about it. It's too small of a screen to do anything serious. And I tend to disagree, because before I was using my laptop, I was using just my phone, and I was using Samsung split screen all the time. And I found it very productive, especially if you take advantage of it. It's more useful on the bigger Samsung phones, of course, because you got more screen to play with. But Samsung gives you the ability to flip these around to add new ones. You can even add a third application and then pop view it. You can pop view it like this. Let's go to pop view, and then we'll go over here. Let's go back into our split screen. If I'm doing two things at once, I could do three things at once here with the calculator, calculate something quickly, write some notes, and browse something at the same time. So there's a lot of a lot of split screen, a lot of multitasking you could do here. Whereas with Apple, you can kind of just go one app at a time. Again, minimal, productive, but you could be minimal on the Samsung too, or you can be overly customized and using all that multitasking. They give you the option here on Samsung. And I want to mention themes, because over here on the Samsung device, you got all these Galaxy themes as well, kind of like with the widgets where you can customize it. Well, you can just apply these themes. Some of them are paid, so you're gonna have to pick some of the free ones if you don't want to pay for them. But if you really like a paid one, you might want to support that developer and just pick it up, because it will theme out your phone instantly. You won't have to change really nothing. And again, you know, even with the Samsung Watch versus the Apple Watch, you have so many watch faces, so many themes you could put on there versus Apple, what they give you. So it's kind of what they give you versus options on the Samsung. And that's not changing. It hasn't changed in a long time. So let's talk about the cameras. They're similar and different. So they both have easy to swipe through photo modes, video modes. Samsung has this more section where they give you all these extra features like night mode, pro mode, panoramic. All their extra camera features that weren't populated down here, you can also add them down there if you want, but I think that clutters up the camera experience. You can go over here, photo, video, slow-mo, time-lapse. They're just in different places, some of the features and modes, but it's like a similar camera experience when you're actually using both of these. You can go to settings here to get to your settings directly here, but with Apple, you can now tweak the video. That's the main setting I usually want to do. And you could swipe up here to change different settings here right from the camera. But there are a few things you still have to go to the camera app for within the iPhone. So there's still an extra step here with Apple. But when it comes to taking that photo, you burst it down like this. You'll burst to the left. If you hold down, they both have this quick take video things where you can just hold down and take video. I never really use that because I either want to take a video and I go to video, or I want to take a photo and I go to photo, but I guess certain people enjoy using that feature. And then up here, you'll see aspect ratios for Samsung. So I do like how if you can't reach the shutter button, you need to take a weird, awkward angle. On the Samsung, you could just pull this shutter out and put it anywhere within the viewfinder, and then you could just tap that to take a photo as well. So, and the battery section. So you can see they're pretty different looking, but they both give you quite a bit of, information. So if we click battery here, tell you time since last full charge, background usage limits, wireless power sharing, more battery settings, enhanced processing. Over here, adaptive battery, super fast charging. You can turn that stuff on and off. Apple tells you your maximum capacity, gives you the last 24 hours. just a nice little graph. So you can manage your battery pretty similar on both. Okay, so which one is faster? You might be wondering. Well, I plan to do a speed test. If you guys really enjoyed this video, I'm going to do a speed test on it. So make sure you hit that thumbs up. It helps us out and lets me know that you really appreciate this content and this video and you want to see more like this. But in terms of speed, I think that the One UI has caught up to iOS. I mean, they're really doing a good job in One UI 3 of making everything feel smoother than ever before on Samsung. And with the 120 hertz, it was already pretty smooth and more smooth than 60 hertz on Apple. So I do think the Samsung One UI feels a little faster. So in conclusion, they actually have an opposite conclusion for me. We used 11 Pro versus the S25G. This one over here, the Apple device, is a polished experience that we've come to know and love from iOS, but it's adding stuff. What is it adding? It's adding more features than ever before. The ability to have an app library, the ability to have widgets. And then the opposite conclusion is true for Samsung. It's a feature-packed phone that's finally adding some polish to it. You know, keeping things more consistent, the translucent backgrounds. I mean, it's giving you more polish than ever for a Samsung phone. So what does this mean? It means that Apple and Samsung devices, once again, are becoming closer and closer to being a super similar experience, but still differentiating themselves in key ways like split screen, like still more of a simple, they tell you how to operate it. This one giving you more navigation differences, still giving you more here at Samsung, but giving you more simplicity here, I think, at Apple. The iOS 14 versus One UI 3. Which software do you think is better and why you would choose it? Down below in the comment section. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all in the next episode. Nick here, and peace.